Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
June 3, 2020, the Jeffrey Epstein and Deutsche Bank edition. First up, the NBA is planning to go to Disney World. The sprawling 222-acre complex at ESPN Wide World of Sports at the mega resort in Florida is poised to become the center of the basketball universe. Disney's known for many things, but sports is really not one of them, and the NBA is negotiating with Disney to restart by holding games and practices at this complex. Players, coaches, and staff would stay at Disney World in some 18 hotels over a 6 to 8 week period. So it looks like basketball may be back. Next up, our lead story, Deutsche Bank cannot seem to do anything but shoot itself into the foot as banking regulators in New York have been investigating the bank's years-long relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The bank lent money to him and held dozens of accounts for him until shortly before he died. The investigation, headed by the New York Department of Financial Services, could result in an enforcement action against Deutsche Bank as soon as this month. It's interesting, the Justice Department, of course, is not doing anything about this, and given their cover-up around his death, it's not surprising. No doubt Bill Barr will try to insert himself in the middle of this. Fortunately, Deutsche Bank is licensed to do business in New York by New York state banking authorities who have jurisdiction over him. So it's going to be interesting to see. Deutsche Bank has obviously a history of dodgy clients, starting with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and their work with Jeffrey Epstein could certainly portend additional fines and penalties against them. Next up, from the New York Times, Mark Zuckerberg is in the middle of his biggest challenge, having declared that he will not censor President Trump inciting violence and racist Facebook posts. This has led to hundreds of employees walking out virtually that saying things like the hateful rhetoric advocating violence against black demonstrators by the U.S. president does not warrant the defense under the guise of freedom of expression. Everyone knows that you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, and Mark Zuckerberg does not seem to understand that there are indeed limits to free speech, and even more to the point, the First Amendment does not protect companies, rather speech by companies. So Mark Zuckerberg is under a lot of pressure here because he is clearly facilitating the ongoing racism advocated by Trump and Trump's attempt to incite violence across the company by encouraging right-wing protesters to engage in violence so he can overreact by sending in the military like he did in Washington. So, and our final story is Ericsson, the Swedish telecom company, with over $1 billion of fine for the FCPA, said that its 3-year monitorship has begun. There has been an engagement of an independent compliance monitor. The monitor is part of the DPA. The process of selecting the monitor has been completed, and Dr. Andreas Pohlmann of the firm of Pohlmann & Company Compliance and Governance Advisory, LLC, has been appointed as Ericsson's monitor. The monitor's main responsibility includes reviewing Ericsson's compliance with the terms of the settlement and evaluating the company's progress in implementing and operating an enhanced compliance program and controls, as well as recommendations for improvement of the compliance program. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ericsson comes out of this, and we certainly look forward to more reports on this. I hope you will check out this month's 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program, where I take up internal reporting and investigations. And on the Compliance Life, I begin a 4-part series with Ryan Robles on his journey to the CCO chair.